Have your parents ever made you feel like you were just a bill to pay? My name is Nina, and the day my parents gave me an ultimatum over $50,000 was the day I stopped being their daughter and started being their mistake. It started 3 years ago when I hit rock bottom. I had just graduated from college, jobless, drowning in medical bills, and my so-called boyfriend had ghosted me right after I was diagnosed with a chronic illness. I was 22, sick, alone, and scared. In one desperate phone call, I begged my parents for help, just some support until I got back on my feet. My dad didn't even let me finish speaking. $50,000 is the max we can give you, he said coldly. But this is not a gift. It's a loan, and you will repay it. I remember choking, back tears, nodding over the phone, pretending I had any choice. I thought, maybe one day they'd understand. Maybe they'd see I was trying. But that day never came. In fact, when I finally started recovering, physically and emotionally, I got a text from my mom that changed everything. If you don't return the $50K this month, don't bother coming home for Thanksgiving. I stared at that message for 10 minutes, not because I was shocked by their words, but because something in me finally snapped. They didn't care about my health. They didn't care about my struggle. To them, I was just a transaction, a failed investment. So, I made a decision. If they wanted to cut me off over money, then I would give them a reason to never expect a penny back, and I would make sure they remembered it forever. I didn't scream. I didn't beg. I didn't even reply to that cruel text. Instead, I started building something no one expected, especially not my parents. For weeks, I stayed in my tiny one-room apartment with barely enough money for food. But I used every waking hour learning: online business, marketing, coding, freelancing. I slept on the floor with my laptop open next to me. Every dollar I earned, I reinvested. I didn't buy new clothes. I didn't eat out. I didn't even tell my friends what I was doing. This revenge, it had to be quiet, because I knew the power of silence. I knew how much it would hurt them when they found out. Too late. 6 months in, I had my first real breakthrough. A digital product I created, just a small self-paced course for beginners, went viral on a Facebook group. In one weekend, I made $12,000, and I didn't tell a soul, not even when I passed $50,000 in profit just 9 months later. Why would I? My parents never asked how I was doing. They just sent monthly reminders, cold and robotic. Where's our repayment plan? We expect at least 10% back by next month. Don't forget, you're not welcome without the money. They weren't parents. They were debt collectors. But what they didn't know was that I was building more than just income. I was building freedom. And the day I passed $200K, I knew it was time. Not to pay them back, but to show them who they lost. Thanksgiving arrived. And just like they warned, I wasn't invited, no phone call, no check-in, nothing. But I didn't sit and cry this time. Instead, I took a deep breath and booked a first-class ticket to the city where they lived. I didn't tell them. I just showed up, not to beg, not to talk, but to attend the same corporate gala they were so proud of hosting every year, where they boasted about their success, their family legacy, their perfect little world. What they didn't know? I had recently partnered with one of the top sponsors of that same event. My company, yes, the one they didn't believe in, was now a key collaborator. When I walked in, wearing a sleek black suit and heels sharper than the betrayal they left me with, every head turned. My parents were across the room, laughing with guests, until my name was announced. Please welcome Nina Thompson, our youngest founder and digital innovator of the year. My mom dropped her champagne glass. My dad's jaw literally twitched. I stood on that stage, smiled, and accepted the award with grace. A few years ago, I began, my voice calm. I was told to return money or never come home again. So instead, I built something better than home. I built myself. The room went silent. Every eye was on my parents. I didn't have to point them out. The pain was already sitting in their chairs. I wasn't angry. I wasn't bitter. I was untouchable. They wanted me to return $50,000. Now they couldn't afford the value of the woman I had become. After the event, they tried to corner me. My dad walked over, all smiles like nothing had ever happened. "Nina, we're so proud of you. Why didn't you tell us you'd be here?" I looked at him calmly. "You told me not to come home without $50K, so I assumed you didn't want me anywhere near you." My mom chimed in, trying to soften the moment. "We didn't mean it like that. It was just, you needed discipline." Discipline? I stood in silence, breathing in the fake sympathy. But deep inside, I wasn't angry. I was done. "You know," I said, "when I was 10, I overheard you two talking. You said I was your least promising child, that I'd probably never make it far." Their smiles froze. My voice didn't. And when I asked for help, it wasn't a test. I was drowning. You threw me a rock. They looked stunned, maybe, even guilty, but I wasn't finished. You treated me like a bill, not a daughter. And now that I've built something valuable, suddenly I'm family again? They didn't know what to say. My dad reached out. "Nina, come on, we were just trying to push you." I stepped back. "You pushed me out. And now that I've made it, I'm not coming back in." For years, I thought success would be proving them wrong. But now I realized real success was walking away with peace, knowing they no longer had the power to define my worth. A week later, I sent them a letter. Not a check. Not an apology. Just a letter that read, "Thank you for lending me $50,000 when I needed it most. I no longer owe you anything. Not because I repaid you with cash, but because I repaid you with distance." I never heard back. And honestly, I didn't expect to. I had learned something bigger than business, bigger than money. I had learned the power of self-worth. I moved across the country, bought a house by the ocean, and started mentoring other women who had been underestimated, forgotten, or pushed out by the people who were supposed to love them most. And the most beautiful twist. 2 years later, my younger cousin messaged me. She had been treated the same way by my parents. Cold, transactional, cut off. She said my story gave her the courage to leave, to build, to grow. I didn't need revenge anymore. My success was echoing through every girl they once ignored, and to this day my parents sit in the same house, wondering how they lost their daughter. They didn't lose me over money. They lost me the moment they put a price tag on my worth.